Right. So, step one in going deeper is relational. And the best way to go deeper with somebody else is to ask them questions. And it's a good way to start asking questions about what they think. And then the next level is what they think about a contentious issue. But ultimately, it's what we feel and how we are. That is the deeper question. So as we go on tonight, you can keep conversations that are theological or philosophical going. That's cool. But I invite you, as we grow as a community, to go beyond that to what and who we are and what we find about faith in God and what nurtures you in your spirituality and other people, and ask those sorts of questions rather than just what are you going to do this week or what do you do for a living. Follow that up with how does that feed your soul? You know? Go a deeper question and get to know people too. So that's one way. But I want to take us through something that's a bit, I guess, in a different direction. So, Jesus was asked this question, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment of the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." For those of you who aren't right up with your Deuteronomy, Jesus changed one of the foundational scriptures that Jewish people literally follow the things. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, strength, and soul." Something missing?
Yeah.
Right. "And you shall teach your children as you go out. You should write it on your doorposts. You should put it on your foreheads." I'm paraphrasing here. But they literally have mezuzahs which they pin to the door that have that passage in. When they pray, a lot of Jewish people literally strap those words to their forehead and to their wrist, and they teach it to their children. And they pray the Shema several times a day, or at least twice for a good religious Jew. Remember, there's difference. You can be secular Jew as well. So Jesus changed that by adding mind. So we're going to exercise our minds tonight a little. And I want to take you into four-dimensional faith. Because deeper isn't just going straight. It's bigger. I want to blow your minds. So, first, Jesus said, "Love yourself." That's at the end, but that's the easy one most of us get to do. We can love ourselves, or the opposite, we don't love ourselves. But that's the basic dimension of love, whether you love yourself or you don't. And I'm not talking about, "Oh, I'm so good, I love myself." More about how do you actually do good for you? How do you bring out the best in yourself? Or do you work against yourself? Do you actually sabotage the potential within you through your fears or worries or anxieties and things like that? So that's the first dimension. And of course, who do we love as ourselves? Our neighbour. So that's the second dimension. But we love the neighbours that are like us as ourselves, our family and our friends. And hopefully, if I've got this right, we also don't love our neighbours. There are neighbours we don't love.
Yeah.
And we don't love. And we don't work in their things. But that's the first two-dimensional love. I love myself and I love my family and friends and those people I like. That's the two-dimensional love. But Jesus, being annoying as he is, stretched that idea of neighbour in the story that he then tells in Luke, where he tells the parable of the Good Samaritan. And of course, all the proper religious people step over the man who's injured, and it's the Samaritan, not a good Samaritan, because that, by definition, means that all the other ones are bad. Okay, which they're not. They were just different, and the Jews didn't like them, and the Samaritans didn't like the Jews. But this guy transcended that, and he loved his enemy. And that's one of the things from the Sermon on the Mount. Love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, walk the extra mile, all that sort of stuff. So he stretched our idea of neighbour out into a third dimension. And of course, it has the reciprocal. You can actually hate your enemy. That's the traditional way of doing things. Love your friends, hate your enemies. But Jesus says, I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. That takes us into a third dimension of love. And most of us could probably cope with that. But of course, what's the greatest commandment of all? Love God. And that doesn't fit within that box, because God isn't within that box. God isn't just our neighbour, and he isn't part of our family, and he isn't ourselves. We're not God. So there's this thing, and mathematicians are rejoicing because I'm climbing to the fourth dimension, which is at right angles to our three dimensions. And can you point to it? No. Can you imagine it? Not really. But mathematicians can mathimagine it. They can conceive and they can model it. And so the fourth dimension is about loving God. And the God dimension transcends all the other dimensions, because God is not limited to our three dimensions. In fact, if the universe was created in a Big Bang, with some of the scientists going, then time and space came into being. Three dimensions exploded out of a singularity. And time, and so what was before, we can't even conceptualize, because we just had before and after. We can't imagine what before is. Before. And we can't imagine what is outside of three dimensions. I can't point to that. But that's where God is. God sits outside, but also within inside. And so we have this fabulous thing that, ironically, the great atheist scientist Carl Sagan actually enriched my faith when I watched his series called Cosmos when I was a teenager. I suddenly got God, because I didn't work out that God was, God wasn't up, because that doesn't make sense. Because we now know the world's not flat. And we now know the world's spinning, and we now know the Earth is spinning around the sun, but the whole solar system's spinning as well, and that's spinning in a galaxy that's also spinning, and then our galaxy spinning as part of Laniakea, which is a greater conceptual. This just blows your mind stuff. So up, where's that? It's completely relative. So God's not up, and I worked out, Carl Sagan taught this thing about hypercube, and that is a phone. No judgment. Clearly I need to move on. I've run out of time. That's a hypercube, and it's a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional representation of a four-dimensional shape. But when you take that four-dimensional shape and actually rotate it through the fourth dimension, we'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you what it's like. No, go back. Go back. Too many. We have this idea that there's this great commission. So that we've got the greatest commandment and we've got the great commission, and they actually link to each other. And if you want to go deeper in faith and discipleship, you need to take this into consideration as well. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. And then they saw him and they worshipped him, but some doubted. Tomorrow you'll hear about a different mountain experience if you come here more. Then Jesus came to them and he said, all authority in heaven and in earth has been given to me. The integration, there isn't a heaven and earth. Jesus was the intersection of both. Therefore, as you go, it's not go, if you look at the Greek, it's as you are going, it's actually whatever it is. Clause plural, I'm not really good at my Greek grammar. But it is, as you are going, disciple all nations. No, it's not make disciples. You're not to convert them all into your faith. The word disciple in Greek actually means connect to God. It's about learning. So again, there's that link to deeper. Disciple, connect people to God, baptize them in the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded, which we've heard the greatest ones already. And surely I'm with you to the very end of the age. So a four-dimensional faith, our worship is not coming here, and it's certainly not just singing a bunch of songs. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't found it in the Bible any witness. Maybe Jesus did say it, but it's not in the Bible that he said, I want you to gather in a really expensive building every week and tell me how good I am. He didn't say that. He said, as you go out into the world, as you are going in the world, disciple, connect people to God and teach them all that I commanded you. And what have I commanded you? Well, you should be living that as well. We want to be your hands and feet. What are we supposed to do? Three-dimensional love. Four-dimensional love. What does four-dimensional come in? That's the hypercube, rotating. See, because when we love others, we actually are loving God. And Jesus told us a story about that in the parable of the good shepherd. Not good shepherd, the sheep and the goats. And he said, if you call me Lord, and you don't look after the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the prisoners, etc., I don't really know you because you don't really know me. It's when you are doing that thing, when you are living love, not just mushy love, but agape love, the self-giving love, the love that is to give of your best self to bring out the best in other people. When you are doing that in the world, then you are connected with me. And you are loving God and the love of God. 1 John 3, something like that. God is love, and those who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. And how can you love the God that you can't see if you don't love your neighbour that you do see? It all fits together. Our worship is not what we do in this place. This is a subset of it. This is the fire up. This is the reconnect. Because we are the apostolic church, the sent church. We are gathered in this place as the ecclesia, the church, to be sent out into the world. If you want to go deeper in faith and discipleship, get to know people, and they're asking questions here, and then love them. Love them as you have been loved by God. Love them into their better self. Love justice. Love mercy, and walk humbly with God, and you will go deeper into faith and discipleship. Do you want to go deeper into faith and discipleship? And if you do, then practice a four-dimensional faith, because when you are loving in that three dimensions, then God is involved, because you are with God and God is with you, and it all works together. Amen.
Amen.